There's probably too many case studies to even touch on, but they all pretty much follow the same guidelines, which is clients coming on board with no clear structure in terms of retargeting. They're just running the same cold targeting ads or maybe slight differences and just starting from scratch, going to the drawing board. What are the clear objections? Why aren't people following through with the purchase? Then building creative pieces and copy around that, integrating that into the retargeting strategy, and then immediately seeing a 2 to 3x in performance. A bit of a different case study was actually ourselves. So we run Google Ads for ourselves, and we used to actually have a fairly large budget allocation towards that last year. And what we saw was the second that we integrated display retargeting ads alongside the search ad campaign, cost per acquisition dropped by 35%. So simply through retargeting all of the existing visitors, we were able to generate, and you have to invert the percentage here, but it was able to generate 45%, I believe, more leads. That just, it really goes to show that also cross translates across everything else. And anyone that's been running Google Ads for, call it 3 to 4 years now, would know that smart shopping used to kill standard shopping if you had enough data. And the main reason for that really was the built-in display retargeting, is getting those extra touch points with all the users that were visiting site and getting them back to follow through with a conversion.
Yeah, cool. I've been also thinking about what really is the future of retargeting campaigns. We've got AI, we've got ML. We talk about it a lot, and it's very important to be aware of, and not only to look at what's happening in the artificial intelligence market, but what could potentially happen. What are some of your ideas? Because I'm sure there's people out there thinking about it. One thing that I think is we're seeing a lot more AI generated content and a lot more AI generated assets. I saw an ad the other day for Photoshop where people were basically typing in commands for backgrounds of images of a forest or a waterfall, and Photoshop was automatically generating that in the background of someone's photo to very, very precise, to a very precise degree. You know, if you wanted an extra tree in there, you could do that. Now, how does that affect our retargeting campaigns exactly? I think where I see retargeting coming in the near future is actually potentially having a tool where you can insert your product information, feed it some assets, and the artificial intelligence could go away with that and start generating new assets, new content around it, test and learn without you really having to lift a finger outside of building out the audience lists, making sure that the back end's all smooth, having a strong brand presence, or the other sort of nooks and crannies that we'd spoken about before. That's one avenue that I can think of. Have you got any ideas there?
Yeah, I think with AI getting integrated into retargeting strategies, it's going to help a lot with that continuity in the retargeting funnel. I think it's going to allow you to be very hyper specific with the creatives that you retarget individual users with, dependent on their activity on site as well as their individual profile. With that being said, it's interesting because it directly crosses with the force on the other end of things, which is privacy regulations. So the more privacy regulations roll out, the harder and harder it becomes to have continuity within the retargeting funnel. And so I think the two are clashing heads. And where it looks like Facebook's going, and maybe Google might go in the same direction, it's hard to tell because Google's a bit of a slower moving platform, is keeping users on site. So you see this on Facebook. Facebook really, really incentivizes in the form of lower CPMs and generally better quality placements across the platform. They're always incentivizing on-page experience, keeping people on page so that they make the purchase on the app and they don't leave. And there's two main reasons why they want to do that. Number one, they have control of all the data. Now, privacy regulations can't get in the way because if you're making the purchase on Facebook as a platform, they're keeping all of that data for themselves. And then number two is so that you don't leave the app. They're always optimizing for most time per user on site, because the more time spent on site, the more ads can be served, the more revenue Facebook generates at the end of the day. So that's where it looks like it's moving. They might even call it 3 to 4 years, just not even allow outbound links, and they just keep everything on platform. That would make the most sense from a business perspective. And it looks like that's the direction that they're going as well.
Yeah, you've actually nailed it. I don't know if you've seen my draft video yet or not, but that's exactly what I cover, which we can certainly talk about in the podcast. There's so much to talk about there, but Google's bringing out, just very briefly, Google's bringing out a way that they can keep them within the Google platform itself, so the Google website, for informational type queries. So having that information on your website is still going to be important, such as how to retune a piano. But Google's going to try and deliver on that requirement from a user within Google itself, so that it can take out a little bit of the lesser intent searches from websites, deliver it within Google itself. And I'd imagine that it will probably look a little bit like some of that schema that you see on the SEO listings, where there'll be a drop down and a link to the website if you want to read more. Now, yeah, they're using AI to generate this response online, which is actually a very positive thing for businesses out there, because it means that you can get hyper targeted with long tail keywords and your retargeting campaigns, and know that those queries are going to be satisfied within the artificial intelligence of Google prior to that. Not necessarily 100% of the time, but certainly a lot more. And it's in beta at the moment. So yeah, we'll definitely touch base on that soon.
If you're spending over $10,000 a month across Google and Facebook ads, click the link below to our website, reach out to us for a completely free 90-day action plan and back-end audit, where we'll run through the back end of your ad account, provide you with a 60 to 90 minute video where we'll give you the steps to take your ad account to spending $20, $30, and then ultimately $40,000 per month, where it starts to make sense to find a growth partner like ourselves to work together to take you to that next level.